I just want to continue with yesterday's theme of opinion and how everything in life is opinion. And I want to talk about the context of deeper kinds of suffering and setbacks. And so, for example, you think of something that can be quite shattering in a person's life, in your life, a deep betrayal or loss or some sort of injury to your body, to your life. And of course there's much there that just is real, and your body reacts in a way that's very real. It's set up to react in a certain way, a traumatized way, for example. Pain is certainly real. You know, it's one of the most real things. Probably not the most real, but I think the second most real. I think meaning is more real than pain, but pain is this animal, fundamental, real thing that you can't escape. So it's a bit strange to say this is written through with opinion. It even seems quite callous to say that. You know, almost like you're dismissing somebody's suffering, when in fact what's required is an acknowledgement of the reality of it and compassion. And I grant all those points, absolutely. But nonetheless, our suffering is written through with opinion. And why do I say that? Well, the meaning of the suffering changes over time. You think about people think about yourself and think about sufferings you've gone through, and think about those examples where it looked different later on. Maybe you won't deny how terrible it was that this car hit you. You won't deny how terrible it was that you were betrayed. Okay, but in time, your life changed, or you did things that made everything different in response to that suffering. It became a turning point in your life for something else. You'll see this in lives that we celebrate, where people will have gone through something terrible and it seemed like the end for them, but then they turned everything around out of that. They responded to that by doing quite incredible things with their lives. So the meaning of the suffering changes later because of what they do, because of what they choose to do, how they respond to it over time, and what kind of life they build. That means that the sense of what the suffering was at the time is an opinion. This doesn't mean that evil's not real. It doesn't mean that we can just change our opinion about the Holocaust. Doesn't mean we can just change our opinion about a partner who's abusive and violently murders their loved one. You know, that's evil. This doesn't change that fact, but what it does is it changes when it comes to yourself and responding to your own sufferings. You can look inwards and you can see that there is so much opinion going on, because there's so much that can be shifted and changed by the choices you make. And you can make life wonderful in response to terrible things. The worst things in your life can be the greatest curses, but they can actually, depending on what you do with them, if you do wonderful things in response to them, they also become blessings, ultimately. You do things you would never have done if they hadn't happened. You learn things you would never have learnt. You become a person you would never have been if it wasn't for those. So your suffering is drenched in opinions that change, perspectives on the suffering that absolutely change depending on what you do with it later on. There's something more I'd say, but I'll say it in another video. So yeah, this notion of opinion it goes deep. It's not just a superficial pop psychological, pop philosophical idea. It goes deep, that our lives are dreams woven out of opinion, and our sufferings are woven through with opinion. And so we can look inwards and we can monitor. We can be aware of, we can guard our thoughts, and guard not in the sense of a harsh guard, but in the sense of guardianship, caring for our own inner world, the opinions that are constantly flowing through our minds. You know, think about this morning. How many different stories have gone through your mind already this morning? And how many of them involve some sort of angst? How many opinions and stories, narrative fictional stories, even in terms of the interpretation, a real event, but the story you've woven around it, how much of that has happened already this morning, and what is that doing to your life today, now, and in those moments, and in the morning you've had so far? What if you could become deeply aware of this as opinion, and choose in the moment to step into a better opinion, into a better place? That's not a chore, that's a constantly coming into a better place. If you're able to kind of become skillful, and it's a relaxed skill when you develop it. You relax into the skill of changing this and making things better right now. Okay? Enjoy your Saturday.